Hey, wagwan, people them. Wagwan, wagwan. Welcome back to episode 2 of the Heard You, Beloved podcast. If you're tired, drink some tea. If you're sick, drink some tea. If you're bored, drink some tea. You're thirsty, drink some tea. What's up, y'all? Like I said, welcome back to episode 2 of the Heard You Beloved podcast. We are back. Just to start off, I want to say thank you for all the love I've been getting around this podcast. Y'all know it took me some time to get this thing started. Something I've been contemplating with and talking about and announcing that I might do this. It's been a couple months. And I finally did it. I've been getting a lot of love online, on Instagram, on TikTok. Not so much Facebook, because I know a lot of people don't really be on Facebook like that anymore these days. But on Instagram, on TikTok, I'm getting a lot of views, which I'm saying love. I got a couple people to watch the whole full episode of episode 1 of the podcast, which is the introduction, where I was breaking down what the podcast is going to be about, right? Just giving y'all some pointers in terms of what to look at or what I'm going to be doing with this thing. And yeah, so far the clips I put out been getting a lot of love. It got reposted a few times. And yeah, so I'm trying to keep the momentum going with that in terms of putting out content, I said contacts. And just making sure that the podcast is in y'all face. Because like I said, I'm getting started. So these first couple of episodes is going to be an introduction, of course. And then later on, let's say probably after New Year's, I want to start having guests featured on the podcast. And I'll interview them. Ask them certain questions just to pick their brains in terms of their journey, right? So like I said, I have a lot of friends and people that I know that are entrepreneurs now that were older. I have people who are parents. I know people who are married. I know people who work in the field of social work. I know people who work in retail. I know people that are managers of different spaces. And I want to pick their brain in terms of how they got from point A to point B, right? Because the beautiful thing I see is a lot of people from where I'm from Harlem, New York, born and raised. I see that a lot of us, or a lot of my peers, have grown. They've outgrown the lifestyle and the mentality that is just being a person that's from the hood, quote unquote. And they've moved out of Harlem, or they still probably live here, but they moved on to doing bigger and better things versus just staying in the hood and staying complacent with that, if you understand what I'm saying. Because I'm sure y'all know that a lot of people who come from places in neighborhoods and things like that we're from, they get complacent. Like they reach a certain peak and they don't even think to go above that. Like they're limited. They're limited in terms of their scope of the world. They're limited in terms of trying new things, exploring new things, and thinking outside of the box or stepping out of what's normal to them. Which to me is interesting within itself. But you know, everybody's different. Everybody think differently. And some people, unfortunately enough, they settle. They settle and they don't try to, step above what they consider normal or okay to be. Me, I've always been like the go-getter type, to where even that young, because I started working when I was 12 years old. I told my mother, listen, woman, I don't want any money from you. I'm going to work to earn my own money and buy what I want. And I've always had that hustler's go-getter mentality, right? Weekends, I would do what I did to make money. I think I worked at a supermarket. Imagine a 12-year-old coming home with $300 doing something legal on their own to make money. Imagine you having a kid like that as an adult. And me growing with that mentality, it was always been the case. I could think back, I was just talking to a friend not too long ago, how I felt like during the peak of my younger days when I was 18, 19, I had 3 jobs. And I missed out on a lot of activities to where, people going to parties, people having get-togethers, people doing things in groups with friends and things of that nature. But me, what was I doing? At 5, 6 in the morning, I'm at job number 1. I was working at a restaurant as a dishwasher and a cleaner. I was working on Times Square at an off-Broadway theater, doing ticket sales and working in the back office, in the call center. And I was working at the Gap in the evening. So imagine that. Me working basically 12 to 15 hours a day, because I worked 3 of those jobs several days a week. Weekends, even Sundays. Where was I? Going to work. I'll be coming home 2, 3 in the morning. While I'm coming home to go to sleep, you see my friends or what have you on the block outside chilling. While they outside doing their thing, I'm going home to go to sleep and get up in a couple of hours and go back to work. And like I was saying, I missed out on a lot because my mentality was different. But even with that hustler's mentality, that wasn't a healthy thing. Because think about it, you 18, and technically I was still in high school, I think, because I ended up getting my GED. School to me was always boring. I never went, I was like that weird, I was to the side. Like, school was always boring to me. I never went to school, or if I did go to school, I'll play hooky. I was the type that I'll miss out a lot of days in schools, but when it came to testing dates, I'll show up, do the test, pass the damn test without even showing up for school and studying, and move on to the next grade. Like, that was my experience during junior high school, in high school, until I decided, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm wasting my time. And I did my GED. In 6 months, I did my GED like that. But yeah, like I was saying before, I kind of got sidetracked. That even though I had that hustler's mentality as a little boy, 12 years old, that was not always healthy. Because honestly, I'm thinking about it now. It was by force. Because of my family situation, financially, we wasn't always in the best place. My mother was a single mother. She cared for myself and my brother here in the States, New York. Meanwhile, she had other siblings, other family members that she had to work for here in the States, and send money back to take care of. So again, our financial situation at home wasn't always the best. And I'm grateful for having her and her having that hustler spirit to where she was able to take care of me, my brother, and other extended family. But for me, a little boy, 12 years old, working, having to work so that he can get the things that that I was necessarily interested in. Because me, I've never been a materialistic person. No, I wasn't asking my mother for no damn J's, any name brand clothing or anything like that, any games or anything like that. What I wanted from or needed from her was necessities, right? But me, I was always like the nerd into electronics, music, like different type of headphones, different type of music stereo systems, different type of games, computers. Big thing with me was computers. And that was my niche. That was my thing, technology. So anything when it came to that, I bought that for myself out of my own pocket. But like I was saying before, that hustler spirit, that hustler mentality wasn't always a good thing or isn't a good thing. Because look at me now, right? I'm in my 30s, and me feeling like my priority is to make a means for myself or to make money has almost always trumped me building connections and friendships with people, if you get what I'm saying. And when it's downtime, or if I'm not around close friends or what have you, I always felt out of place, or that I'm wasting my time because I'm not doing something to work. If you understand what I'm saying, I'm the type of person that I used to be. Let me say used to be. Let me correct that, because now at this age, I'm 32. I've slowed down completely. I used to be a person that multitasked. You know, when I just said that at 18 I had 3 jobs. Outside of those jobs, I was in a music group. I was doing other things, an internship somewhere else. I was doing so much stuff to keep my mind occupied for whatever reason. And now that I'm older, I've learned that that's not always the best of things. That's not always good, because you're always doing too much. Like, you need to learn how to slow down and take your time with things and make sure, like I was saying in episode 1, that you're taking care of self. Right? I remember way back when, I can think back, I had several anxiety attacks because I'm doing too much, or that when I'm doing something and it's not working out the way I wanted it to, I'll either get frustrated or might get triggered by something to make me feel like, damn, make me feel like I'm shutting down or what have you. And I will end up shutting down, excuse me. But I carried that mentality or that way of being for so long. And thankfully, by the grace of God, things ended up switching and changing when, for me, I got into my spirituality. Right? I started practicing yoga. I started practicing meditation. I started just slowing down, because I noticed that at certain levels and points in my life, I can even think about certain type of jobs I've had, or certain things I was doing, going to college or what have you, that some small minute thing, it may not be big to other people, but my perfectionist mentality, my perfectionist thinking would allow me to be triggered by things that were not really that big a deal. And for me, my response to that was either shutting down or me becoming enraged, like so mad to where I can't even speak or think clearly. And that caused me to stray away from a lot of things, like run away from a lot of things that I could have easily handled if I thought about it differently. If, like I said in episode 1, checked my energy, right? Checked in with self, and just that self-talk, that small voice in your head, and just be like, yo, E, what's going on with you, bro? Slow down. You got this. What's the issue? What's the solution? Versus that small talk and that voice think like, nah, F that, damn, why didn't this work out? Damn, I'm so stupid. I should have did this, blah, 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 blah. All that negativity going on in my head was caused to keep that toxic, suffocating energy around. Where meanwhile, like I just said, take a step back, take 5-10 seconds, just breathe. And ask yourself, what's the issue and what's the solution? If you don't have the solution, who can you reach out to that can help you navigate this issue or problem type situation? But yeah, today I kind of got carried away in the format of this, but I wanted to do a word of the day type situation and then go from there. So the word of today, which thankfully to one of my friends who recently did a video where she actually brought up the Ye situation, because y'all know what they doing to him, that public lynching. And I don't want to get into that because that's not what this podcast is about, but she spoke about transparency. And she made a video and she was talking about how, well, trauma, one thing, and, well, basically how she's experienced trauma in her life in terms of her family, certain relationships that were close to her, and feeling like and noticing that she has had different levels of trauma, but with her social media platform, she's very vocal about these things and communicates it to the world to where she's being transparent and knowing that her sharing her story, her being vocal about the things she's going through is helping people. It may not be a large number of people, but if somebody is listening to her because they have a liking to her or they're a supporter of one of her ventures or what have you, but they listen to her. And some people, depending on what she talks about, they get inspired, they get motivated, they get empowered, and they learn based off her situation because she's vocal about it. The same thing with me. If you know me on a personal level, you know that over the years, my platform, the way I utilize my platform has changed. You saw when I was going through my emotions. When at a certain point, I was so happy because I felt like I was manifesting so many things, and it kind of felt like surreal to me that I would kind of say like, I had a dream that this is going to happen. And at a snap of a second, I'm talking on here laughing at myself like, bro, this is actually happening. Didn't I just say this like 2 days ago? Or a week ago or two? And then you'll see when I'm frustrated or felt lost about something that I can't put my name or finger to it, but something is off. And then you seen when, prime example, my living situation of what I'm going through right now. Y'all saw when depression kicked in for real, for real. Y'all saw when I had that drinking problem. Y'all saw when I was on live and what have you, having rants, having conversations with myself, but me purging, getting that stuff out of my spirit. Because like I mentioned before, me feeling I didn't have adequate amount of people that I can vent to or speak to about these things. And I didn't necessarily want to pour my baggage onto them and project what's internally happening onto these people. So my solution usually is and has always been to take a step back and isolate myself so that I can have my time with God and me figure out how am I going to move past this, right? Me allow my emotions or what have you to sink in and me to deal with that versus me running away from it or what have you. Even though, yeah, I chose to drink excessively, I still made a conscious decision to distance myself from people when I felt like I was not in the right place or should not be around people. Because I could think back on a conversation I had with some of my friends, my childhood friends, when we tried to do a group venture. And I led the episode with doing a check-in, right? And one of my bros, Dales, we were talking about, dealing with different things and coping mechanisms. And I mentioned that, like, I'm the type of person that when I felt like, things are closing in on me, for lack of better words, I choose to distance myself and step away from people. And I think he said that his solution to when he's dealing with these kind of issues is to get closer to the people that are his family and friends, to be around them a lot more, to do more group things and things of that nature. So for him, that takes away, that distracts him from, the negativity or what have you. But for his healing process is to be around more people. That's how he gets past his issues. Versus me, I take a step back. I can't be around people. I can't do it, and I choose not to. For the sake of salvaging relationships, right? Not breaking these bonds, because mentally I'm in a different place. I'm not here. Me feeling like I may show up to a get together or something to that effect, a party, a barbecue, or whatever, and me, I'm in a sad, dark place, and me feeling like I'm sucking up the energy in the space, right? You showing up, you're not talking, you're not smiling, you're not engaging with the people around you, and you're just sitting there like in a dark hole while everything else is happening. People are drinking, people are smoking, people are laughing, people are dancing, people are playing games, people are doing all the above. Meanwhile, you're just there, mute. To me, my choice is I'm going to distance myself. I may not verbalize that, but the people who love you and know how you show up on, usually, they pick up on game. Like, all right, E is going through something. We're going to give him his space. And over time, I'm happy that I've reached a certain maturity level where people, those people I speak of, the people who love you, they do those check-ins. It could be a text. It can be what have you, a phone call. It can FaceTime you. They can video call you, what have you. Yo, E, what's up? You all right? Just as simple as that. Just that reminder that somebody is thinking of you, no matter what, is enough for me. Right? So for y'all in the comments, what are some coping mechanisms that y'all deal with or that y'all do when you know you're not having the best of times in your life? Like you feel lost or disconnected. Like how do you come back to self? How do you come back to yourself? Leave a comment. If you want to do a video reply, remix this video, what have you, put that out that way. But let me know, how do you cope with, those mishaps in life? And this episode is going a little longer than expected. Like I said, I want to do 20 minutes tops, but I'm talking a lot more. I'm at 22 now, but I'm going to try to cut it off at 30 minutes, even if I get at that. So like I said, to the word of the day, or the theme in this episode is transparency, right? Being honest, being real, being vocal and straightforward about what's at hand. And another thing I wanted to bring up today, or the second part, was asking the question, how did the Panyemmy, I'm going to call it that. Y'all know what I'm talking about when I say Panyemmy. People call it a panorama. People call it the Panera bread. People call it all kind of things. But how did the Panyemmy affect you? For some people, it brought them a lot closer. Because when you think about it, during that time, the world was at a standstill. The world was literally shut down. You can't go nowhere. You can't go out to drink. For a certain amount of time, you couldn't do nothing. It's suggested, if you're not an essential worker, if you're not going to work, stay away from the trains. Stay away from the bus. Stay away from closed, confined spaces. Social distance. Blah, blah, blah. Wear a mask. Do this, do that. There was like this chaotic like energy that was spewing out into the world. Propaganda surrounding that, when the reality of it is, yeah, there were people who were falling ill to that thing, to Rona. There were people who passed away from Rona. But I feel like we learned that people who are immunocompromised, I hope I'm saying that right, so that have underlying conditions already, are the people who are more vulnerable to getting that thing, to getting Rona. Right? People of a certain age bracket were susceptible to catching Rona. And over time, the world slowly but surely opened up. And now we're in October 2022. It was March 2022. I think it was like the 19th of March of 2020 when that executive order happened here in New York. And I think it was globally or what have you. I don't remember exactly how it went, but that warning, we're shutting up everything down. Stay home. You can't go nowhere because the demon named Rona is out to get your ass. Or can potentially get your ass. And it's not a laughing manner, but you know. For me, to answer that question, how did the Panyemmy affect you? Or what did it do for you? Because before I answer that, I noticed that a lot of people finally started they created their businesses. They started their entrepreneurial ventures. A lot of people use that stimmy money to open up LLCs. A lot of people invested that money into real estate. A lot of people invested in stocks, stock options, and things of that nature. That's what I was doing. I did stocks. I was in Robinhood, flipping money. Like that was how I would spend the day, being up at 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning, looking at the charts, and me learning and growing through that. That's how I came across TikTok, actually, because that was my teacher in terms of TikTok, stocks and what have you. And we all know TikTok is a big DIY type situation, and you can learn a lot depending on what your algorithm is or what you look for. Just like YouTube, too. YouTube is your best friend. You don't know how to do something? Google how blah 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 on YouTube. Click the enter button or search button, and you'll get all kind of tutorials, people breaking down how to do different things or what have you. And for me, like I said, I went through my stitch of my sadness, and that was actually before the pandemic. But once I said it just now, damn. But whatever. Once that happened, interestingly enough, over time, I got closer to some of my childhood friends who I call my bros now. We got closer because the world was at a standstill, obviously. People were out of work, obviously. People couldn't really go nowhere, obviously. So what happened? We started up a group chat, or we rekindled like the communication within a group chat that existed back when Facebook started, damn near. But to do the check-ins, to ask like, yo, how you doing? How you feeling? Where you at mentally? Have you gone outside today? What are you doing to, I guess, stay active? What are you doing to keep your mind occupied? What you watching? What TV show? What movie show? How your family doing? Has anybody gotten sick? Are you sick? How you feeling? All these questions and these communications led to us basically writing each other every damn day. We would do video calls, group video conversations and stuff like that. We would play different games, like we would have spades games online. What's that game that people was playing not too long ago on the phones? I forget the name of the game, but it was a game. I forget the game, But that's what we did. That's how we got through time. Like, that's how we got those, what was it, 3 months that the world was literally, we got through that. And for me, with them, we got closer. And even to this day, like the group chat is the group chat. The group chat is real active. Which I love that, man, because these are people we grew up with. My blood brothers in the chat too, so I got my actual family and then my other family who we stay in communication with. Before that, you know, people get caught up with work, with life. People have responsibilities, and sometimes life pulls you away from being around or seeing the people that you're used to seeing on a consistent basis. And it's going to sound crazy. Thankfully, the Panyemmy slowed things down to where we could come back to where we once were. And now things are great. So again, for y'all, how did the Panyemmy affect you? And what did you learn about yourself during that time? Because again, the world was quiet. You can't do nothing. I know there's some people who got into books. There's some people who caught up on doing things that they put off for so long. But because of this thing and how the world was, they finally got the chance to kickstart and get into the things that they've been procrastinating about. So in the comments or video reply or what have you, let me know, how did the Panyemmy affect you? And did you learn anything for yourself, about yourself? Did you learn a new skill? Right? Let me know in the comments, y'all. And lastly, so today I got notes. I didn't do this before, so that's why I keep looking down. I made some notes. One of my bros, he suggested that I do notes, and I think like this is actually a distraction for me. Like I'm a freestyle kind of person, but this is in a way keeping me on track, which is the reason why he suggested, yo, Ish, you should try making notes so that you're not all over the place type situation, which it makes sense. But this is my first episode taken with notes in my hand, so have patience, people. Have some patience with me. And yeah, speaking of how things affect you, damn, I'm at 32 now. I wanted to ask this question or, bring this up. Where basically, like, what is it like for you as an adult? So for the people who, support this podcast, if you're, let's say, 23 or 25 and older, how do you feel about, or is it difficult for you to create new friendships now that you're an adult? Do you feel like it's hard for you to create an actual friendship with other adults who you have things in common with, or that you actually communicate with openly and do things with, like how you would or do people that you've known forever? You know how when you have those like a gathering, a get together, if you go to a lounge or a bar or have brunch with your people, you know how you link people and can be around them for a long time, for hours on end. Are you able to do that with new people that come into your life? Or is there like a reservation to where it's a situational thing with these people, newer people? Because I'm asking that because I wanted to get into, what you call it. I feel like, that a lot of our older relationships and friendships was built off of trauma bonding. And if that trauma bonding did not exist, would the relationship or friendship still be the same? Or would it be a situation where y'all don't have, that connection that y'all do today? Because think about it. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because I was watching this clip that an interview that this dude Richard Cabral did. He's a Spanish guy. I don't know if he's like Mexican or what have you. But if you look up Richard Cabral, I gotta figure out how to actually pop up like a image on here or show clips on here. But he was in American Crime. He was in Mayans, DC. He's a skinny Hispanic dude. I think he's like Colombian or Mexican. But he was talking about in the video how he said, what was it that he said? He was talking about his friends. The interviewer asked him, and he said, if you're going to ride with me, and you show me that you're going to ride with me, we going to ride to the end, bro. And he was crying. Like, he got emotional about it because he was speaking on how a lot of his closest relationships or his homies are his homies because, like I said before, they trauma bonded. And they became close because they were in the hood. They grew up in gangs or around that fast, hectic, chaotic lifestyle. And what saved them was them getting together and riding with each other. Like creating a brotherhood of loyalty. Right? And for him, he values those relationships because it's rare that you find it where you meet someone for whatever reason. It don't have to be the trauma bond that I pulled up here. But for whatever reason, y'all have this strong connection and a magnetic type of vibration with each other to where it becomes unbreakable. Right? And with those relationships or friendships, they become easy. They feel good. Knowing that you have somebody that can relate to you and actually is there for you. Versus maybe you come across somebody that the connection is not there. Like, it's a sometimey type of situation. Or you can't be yourself completely with these people. Right? And yeah, I understand that there's a time and a place for everything. There's people for certain things. Yeah, you might have your party friends. You might have the people who you consider family, who you welcome home, you welcome them to your house or what have you. You may have people who you feel that they'll be a great asset in terms of creating a business with. You might have people who are just acquaintances that you see in social circles, a high and by type situation, and y'all don't exchange that many words. There's a time and place for everything. There's people for different things, yes, but it's a beautiful thing when you're able to establish relationships that have a strong foundation, and those relationships keeps you grounded. You get what I'm saying? So again, that question, I'm gonna throw it to y'all. Okay, this time around, I'm throwing questions out to y'all. I hope y'all answer them. So for y'all, as an adult, do you find it harder to create genuine friendships versus when you were younger? Because when you're younger, you're out and about. You just always moving fast. Everything you coming, you meeting people, this, that, and the third. And eventually, for some reason, you find a commonality. And sometimes those friendships that you meet in passing become people who, as you grow older, are still around, right? So again, I'm gonna wrap up because I felt like I was kind of going left. So the word of today was transparency. And I hope y'all enjoyed this episode. I threw some questions out for y'all to answer. I would love y'all feedback. I want to hear from y'all more in the comments. And let's keep this thing going, baby. This is episode 2 of the Heard You Beloved podcast. Yeah, baby. And I'm out of here. 1.